Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the false start. Welcome to our briefing session this morning on the Safe Work Improvement Programme. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Clark and I'm the Programme Manager for the Safe Work Improvement Programme. For your information, this session will be recorded. The agenda today is going to cover an acknowledgement of country. Kath Bosler will provide us with a safety share. We'll then go into an update on the Safe Working Services Framework. Both Kath and Dimple will provide us a brief overview on that update. In terms of non-technical skills, we did have Jessica down. Unfortunately, she's unable to make it today, so Jenna will be providing that update. And then there'll be time for questions and a wrap up at the end. If you could please leave your questions until the end, because the chances are your question may be answered during the presentation. Unfortunately, we can't take questions verbally today, but you can add them into the chat at the top of the screen using the icon. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement to country. Today, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we are on. I am here today on the land of the Kaurna people. I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to the other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present here today. I will now hand over to Kath for a safety share.
Good morning, everybody. Kath Bosler, General Manager, Safety Systems, Risk and Assurance for ARTC. And next slide, please, Vince.
If you're not liking.
Okay, the safety share today, which will just pop up in a second. This happened in the Hunter Valley a few weeks ago, and a protection officer phoned up to take some protection and misidentified the automatic signals that are required to protect, or misidentified the signals to protect the worksite. They tried to use automatic signals. The network controller was fantastic, asked them to go away, come back. They actually came back 3 times and still couldn't identify the correct signals for the worksite. The network controller quite correctly asked the protection officer to go away and declined their request. This really shows for me the importance of that pre-planning, the use of our network information booklets, the pre-preparation that's required when you go out there having a pre-planned worksite protection plan, and what we've just introduced as part of SWIP A, that contractor scorecard that will enable our internal buyers to know if that protection officer has that locational awareness and understanding of where they are and what they're doing. So it just goes to show the importance of the things that we're trying to put in place as part of SWIP A. Next slide, please, Vince. So SWIP A, what is it? This is our framework for the provision of safe working services. So we have a framework in place and there are 2 arms to this, the Safe Working Services panel, which is now established, and Dimple will talk to that. And there's a self-performer authorisation process, again, a specification that we've got for organisations that wish to provide us safe working as part of a broader scope of works with their employed resources. Next one, please, Vince. So we're well on the road to the end of our transition. We have 22 days remaining of our transition before we move to those 9 panel members, 5 in New South Wales, 4 in Victoria and 4 in South Australia, stroke Western Australia, Code of Practice. And we are at the moment making the most of the last bit of our transition period. We've got quite a lot of applications in for self-performers, which I'll talk to in a second, and we're working very closely with our panel members to enable them to make sure that they can provide us with sufficient resources for our operations. Next slide, please. Okay, so our self-performer organisations, we have had 59 applicants in total, and of those 59, we have authorised 19 organisations to be able to provide us safe working as part of that broader scope of works with their employed resources. The applications involve both a primary and a secondary review, and they take about 4 weeks to complete. 32 of the organisations that have applied have not been successful, and there are a few of those that we're working with to resubmit their applications, and we have 7 that are awaiting a final review. So in 22 days' time, you'll have to be a member of the panel or a authorised self-performer to be able to provide safe working to ARTC. I'm now going to hand over to Dimple to talk about these safe worker numbers and the panel.
Thanks, Kath. So good morning, everyone. My name is Dimple McDonald. Hopefully most of you know me by now, but I joined the team in April earlier this year as a contract delivery specialist, specifically managing the safe working panel. My role as contract delivery specialist is focused on proactively ensuring contractual compliance and consistent high performance from all panel members. I'll be working with both internal and external stakeholders to manage the supply and demand of safe workers across the ARTC network. This includes monitoring how panel members onboard, manage, train, mentor and develop their primary and secondary employees. I'll be working with all stakeholders moving forward to forecast and secure resources at the earliest opportunity. As the slide shows, we have a total number of 749 safe workers across the panel, 229 in TA20, 473 in New South Wales, 47 in COP, and 119 additional safe workers that are approved and authorised through our 19 SBOs, as Kath has just mentioned. We're already seeing some really good success stories and outcomes during the transition phase. Our recent HV Hunter Valley close down engaged around 110 safe workers. 95% of our Config 9 possession was sourced from the panel. 42 safe workers from 4 panel members. That's a really good outcome and a good success of and demonstrating just how successful this panel is going to be. We also managed to fulfill 80% of our Config 9 possession coming up, 20 safe workers from again 4 panel members. So the criteria, as Kath mentioned, only having 19 being approved, it's set fairly high, and the criteria across all the panel and the SBOs is similar. Therefore, there is a high standard that's being expected. If you've got any specific queries in relation to SBOs, please do email spo@artc.com.au and the team will revert to you with their answer. Next slide, please, Vincent. So as we're in the transition phase currently, we are very fast approaching the end of the transition phase. That big orange box is reminding us we've got 22 days before the panel becomes mandatory and the framework becomes mandatory. During the transition, we've been facilitating the process through various activities so that we are confident and ensuring that the framework is ready by 1st of December. Some of the activities that we've been conducting is holding panel introductory sessions with our internal and external stakeholders. They have been held so far in TA20 and COP, and they've been really proving to be a success. They're providing some really valuable feedback from both our internal and external stakeholders, which has given us an opportunity to inform our business of what the supply and demand looks like. We're also conducting monthly contract management meetings with all of our panel members to focus on ensuring that the supply and demand is monitored as well as the performance of those panel members. We're delivering training for our ARTC buyers and providing them with support when they require them. In August, we delivered 4 training sessions to the internal team. We're also facilitating some really important communication and sharing the information of emerging issues as soon as they become known, such as the recent RIW issues and the non-technical skills program, which Jen is going to talk to you very shortly in the next couple of slides. Finally, we're reviewing all of our standing offers as well which may include a safe working service element. We're going through these individually and making sure that we make the necessary amendments to set the services, the safe working panel up for success. We're really confident that these activities will set the safe working assurance framework for success for delivering safe working services on the ARTC network, and request that all third parties also ensure that they have similar contractual mechanisms in place by December the 1st to engage safe workers from the approved panel providers. I'm now going to hand it over to Jenna, who will take you through the next slide.
Thanks, Dimple, and hi everybody. So Jenna from the technical training team to provide a few updates relating to the non-technical skills program. The non-technical skills program was developed to enhance the domain knowledge and soft skills for protection officers, track force protection coordinators and track workers who are required to deliver effective protection when out on track. All current protection officers, track force protection coordinators and track workers, whether they are a contractor or an ARTC employee, are required to complete the one-day program, which will help to give us the strongest position of protection on our network. We're currently working with our approved safe working service panel members and self-performer organisations to ensure that the same internal standards exist in our partner organisations. We need to ensure their people are equally capable and confident in their ability to conduct safe working across the ARTC network. Our Safe Working Service panel members have been briefed regarding the implementation and rollout of the non-technical skills program to their workforce on the 11th of October. You should also be aware that ARTC has been working with the industry to ensure the highest priority is given to RIW compliance, specifically ensuring certificates of currency are up to date and uploaded in the RIW system for the ARTC network. Given the focus is currently on RIW compliance, we expect the non-technical skills one-day program to launch in December this year, and we are hopeful to have close to 100% of people trained by mid-2023. Lastly, we have recently increased the list of RTOs who are approved to deliver this program, and they include CERT, the Instruction Co, GoTrain, SWEPA and Excel. Please contact SWIP at artc.com.au for any questions that you have regarding the program. Thank you.
Hello again. I'd like to thank all the presenters today. Before we open up for any questions, I just want to go through a few key takeaways from the presentation. The first one, as has been mentioned a few times, there is 22 days left of the transition period before that comes to an end. All self-performer applications can be made at any time when a tendered scope of work is available. And again, as Jenna had just mentioned as well, please contact one of the RTOs for NTS training that are on the screen at the moment. I appreciate it was quite a slide light today, but we wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time to address any questions that are out there. And I'd like to move across now to open up the floor for questions. So again, if you could please raise the questions in the chat screen. Okay, so the question was, they couldn't hear Dimple. In terms of that, so Dimple, is it worth just covering over some of the key topic areas that you covered, Dimple, just to make sure that everybody got the content?
Sure. So the key messages that I was talking through earlier was around the role of myself, contractual compliance to ensure consistent high performance through the panel. Can everybody hear me now? Working with internal and external stakeholders to manage the supply and demand of safe workers across the network, including monitoring how panel members onboard, manage, train, mentor and develop their primary and secondary employees. I'll be working with all the stakeholders to forecast and secure resources at the earliest opportunity. We also have some numbers for you. We've got currently 749 safe workers across the panel. 229 in TA20, 473 in New South Wales, 47 in COP. We've also started seeing some really good successful outcomes during the transition phase, which is really promising. The recent Hunter Valley close down, we engaged 110 safe workers. A Config 9 possession sourced 95% of their safe workers from 4 panel members. That was in total of 42 safe workers. Our upcoming Config 14 possession is sourced 80%, which is 20 safe workers, again from 4 panel members. So really good outcomes we're seeing. To complement the panel and as part of the Safe Work and Assurance Framework, we've got authorised 19 SBOs, which we're continuing reviewing applications, but they provide a supply of an additional 189 safe workers to deliver scope across the ARTC. I then moved on to remind you what some of the activities that we're doing to facilitate the transition process. We're holding some panel introductory sessions in the rulebook areas. We've done TA20 so far, and we've also conducted a session in COP with both our internal stakeholders and our external stakeholders. They're providing some really valuable feedback that we can actually work with all members to ensure the panel is a success. We're holding monthly contract management meetings to monitor performance and delivering internal training for our buyers to use the panel. We're facilitating communications of emerging issues such as RIW, as Jenna went through as well. So hopefully we've covered quite a lot of ground, and also are reviewing our standing offers to make sure that any standing offer with an element of safe working services has the necessary amendments made to those, so that we move forward to the mandatory safe working panel on the 1st of December. I think they were the key takeaways. The last key takeaway that I probably would love to add is just to make sure that all of our third parties have got their own contractual mechanisms in place by the 1st of December to make sure that they're able to engage safe workers from the panel. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you so much for recapping that, Dimple. And appreciate, it's probably good to go over those points again, just to reinforce the message. In terms of questions that are coming in, a question for you, Jenna, is will RTOs be running non-technical skills training from the 1st of December?
Yes, the course can be actually booked now. So it's just that contact's made with one of the approved RTOs, and they will set up the time that's appropriate as long as you've got enough people to attend a session. But I don't think at the moment they're publicising, public NTS courses. They're asking that they're contacted by your organisations to run them for you.
Thank you, Jenna. The next question that's come in, I think, will be for you, Dimple. It's how do I add a new protection officer to my list of protection officers as an SPO?
So if you are an approved and authorised SPO, you will need to provide an updated statutory declaration of your new additional member. Please email spo@artc.com.au and the team will come back to you and process your request.
Thank you, Dimple. The next question that's coming on at the moment is if you are a safe worker and you're on a project running and then get offered to move to a principal contractor that isn't approved on the programme, what can you do to retain your work status as a worker in terms of track force protection coordinator? Is that?
I'll take that one, Richard.
Thanks,
so if you're working for a principal contractor and that principal contractor doesn't have SPO status, then you need to be affiliated with one of our panel members. So you need to be a primary or secondary registration of one of our panel members in order to be able to keep working on that project, if that's the case.
Thank you for that, Kath. I'm just looking through that's all the questions that are through the stream at the moment. I'll just open the floor to see if there are any other questions that are going to come in. Okay, a question that's come in at the moment is, when Dimple made reference to third parties, do we mean external parties or third parties like subcontractors to the principal contractor? Need to make sure we are clear on its reference.
So it's anyone that wants to work on the
Sorry,
ARTC.
Dimple, your microphone's just a little quiet there at the second.
Rich, did you want to take that?
I'll just wait to go live before I answer.
Just moving it now, Richard.
Thank you. Yeah. So the reference there to external parties would be an example of an external party with someone like Telstra, who might need to access our rail corridor to maintain one of their assets, and that would be the relevant reference point there.
Thank you for that, Richard. The next question I think will be for Jenna. It's, does every single ARTC SWIP protection officer need to do the non-technical skills training, or can it just be the management?
What a great question. So it's everybody, anybody who is a qualified PO, TFPC or TW. And we have run this internally as well. We're at about, we've just got probably 2 more sessions to run internally for ARTC qualified POs, TFPCs and track workers. So it's anybody that holds a valid current ARTC PO, TFPC or TW job role. It will be a mandatory component of your role.
Thank you for clarifying that, Jenna. The next question is coming in maybe to Richard or to Dimple. It's, what if a safe working panel can't supply a protection officer for our needs? Who wants to take that one?
If you can hear me, I'm happy to take it. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is an internal question. If that's the case, please do escalate that to myself, and I'm more than happy to try and assist if I can, and I can walk you through the processes that might be available in that particular situation.
Thank you for that, Dimple. Again, that is the last question that is currently in the feed. I'll just give it another minute or so. Again, appreciating it does take time to type the questions out. Are there any further questions that people would like to ask today? Again, if you do think of something after the session is finished, you can always send a question in via the email, which is at swip@artc.com.au, and we will make sure we respond. Just give it another minute. There doesn't appear to be anything else coming in at the moment. Sorry, Richard, should have just like to provide a bit of extra information in response to Dimple's last question. I'll just put Richard live. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah, hi everybody. I just wanted to give an example. If you were an external, so if you're a contractor, so external to ARTC, what you should do if that eventuates, the right point of contact would be your project manager or the buyer that's responsible for the ARTC contract. You need to escalate that through to that individual.
Thanks, Richard, for providing that extra clarity. Okay. Okay, one more question that's just come in is, what if an external company was not able to obtain protection officer from a safe working panel member? Again, Richard, was that just building upon the answer you gave, or Dimple? Would you like to take that?
Yes. So just ask if they could escalate that through the project manager, who will then in turn escalate that through the necessary channels and to myself.
Thanks, Dimple. Okay, I'll just wait again for additional questions. There's nothing in the feed at the moment. Okay. There's nothing else coming in at the moment. So on that, I would like to thank everybody for attending this briefing session this morning. We will collate all the questions that were asked and answers and make sure they're distributed, as well as access to this recording. Again, thank you so much for your time. And if there are any further questions, please contact through the email address, which is swip@artc.com.au. Thank you all for attending.